It's Sunday. It's the European Ham Radio Show, and I'm testing something new today. I'm going to go back to my regular camera. Welcome to the European Ham Radio Show, guys. We have Fraser. Let's see, he's down there right now. He's going to talk about something I think at least Bob and me are going to want to know more about, and that's the solar-powered LoRa APRS digipeater. So we're looking forward to hearing about that, Fraser. But before we get to that, Jürgen, how's your ham radio week been?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. There was not too much ham radio. Not outside. I had a plan to do a POTA activation as I was still on holiday or vacation this week, but I was very, very lazy. The weather was way too cold for me. And actually it's -7 or 8 degrees. So, way too cold. I've tested my drone across the street at the lake. It was my maiden flight with the Neo 2. And I made a video about this guy. This is the Kodan from the Red Cross, the NGT-SR. It is still working. It looks like someone has driven over it, but it's still working. And the plan for today was to make another video on air, but that was the plan. But maybe I will do it tomorrow.
I think that's the point with the Kodan radio, that you can drive over it and it will work afterwards.
Yeah. This is built really. This is. I don't know. You get it for like 250, 300 euros used on
in Norway,
the internet.
There are a lot more. The ones I've seen for sale in Norway are a lot more.
Yeah. RF unit alone weighs 3 kilograms. So this is something for SOTA. No, just kidding. This alone, this is really, really heavy. And I talked to several guys and they told me, you can't do this, you can't do that. And there is an amateur radio EEPROM for this radio. And they give me some tips. Don't call Kodan or write them an email because they don't answer to hams, and so on and so on. I'm still figuring out how everything's work. Let's see. I will do an on-air test next week and hopefully also a POTA activation. Tobias, what about you?
Good question. I forgot everything already, which means there was not a lot of ham radio, but the renovations are winding down. So I've high hopes that in a week or two I can say everything from last year is done, and I can move through the shack again. So a lot of stuff was cleared away and put back into its proper place. So things are looking up. Ham radio wise, I think I finally printed the plastic box for the Aramid battery pack on the Prusa Core 1. I printed it like 4 or 5 times on the saw tracks and always had problems with layer separation. Then I just sliced it for the Prusa and printed it, and it's fine. Yeah, so that's the benefit of dialed in profiles for your printer. Very nice, and also no problem with bad adhesion. So I printed the ABS on the satin sheet and it was perfectly fine, and after it cooled down you could just take it out. So as once the temperature drops to room temperature, you can just take it off the sheet, so no need to fiddle with a spatula or anything. Nice. That was it, more or less. So things are looking up. My desk, shack desk, is also cleared for new mayhem. So I have high hopes for the new year.
Excellent. And hopefully some more ham radio projects from you going ahead then, Tobias.
I hope I will definitely not make the same mistake as last year again and pack too many renovation projects into a year, because that's really not good for my mental health.
And Fraser, how's your ham radio week been?
Yes, I think I might win. Until Tuesday, I was MM0EFI stroke VP9. So my wife and I had a holiday in Bermuda over New Year. First time I've had Christmas and New Year off from work in 37 years. So we had a lovely time over there, and I took my favorite little battery with me. I took my favorite radio, which is the KX2, and to guarantee success, I also took this 40 watt linear, which I've had for a while. It's one of these Chinese things I've had for a few years, and I did some POTA. There are about 23, I think, POTA sites in Bermuda. I did 5 or 6 of them, and insane pile-ups to the point that I had a 10-meter pile-up from a lighthouse, National Trust lighthouse site in Bermuda, and it went on for about 50 minutes. And I was glad to turn the radio off when it stopped, because my brain was fried. So yeah, with 40 watts from the little amplifier, I worked a lot of states, Canada, Caribbean, and lots of European stations. And I generally used 10 meters and 15 meters all week, just from a random wire antenna, a sort of 41-foot wire. And I took a 6-meter mast with me, a carbon 6. I never needed to guy it anywhere. I could normally just jam it in some rocks or lean it against a tree or something like that. So had a fab time. I haven't actually totaled my log up for the total number of contacts, but it'd be a few hundred anyway from the 5 POTA sites. And since coming back to Scotland, we've had really bad weather, lots and lots of snow, and I'm a volunteer responder, so I've been out 12 hours a day in my Land Rover, helping in the community, transport patients and doctors and nurses and that kind of thing. So looking forward to maybe doing my first SOTA of the year next week, if I can get out and get some nice weather. And that's me.
Nice, and absolutely, I do think you're going to win. At least in the most exciting operating location.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kjetil?
Yeah, I'm just back from sunny and warm Scotland. It's been I've been there for a weekend now. It was lovely and warm, at least compared to me, or according to me. Charlotte thought it was cold, but I came from then. Roughly minus 10-ish or so we've had here this week, and up to then around 0. So yesterday was beautiful. Today was more Scottish weather, as I would say it, rainy and so on. So we went out. We activated a park in the center of Edinburgh, the Meadows. So that's a very beautiful park, and now a portal park, and that was fun. First QSO was on 2 meters. I just cold called on 2 meters and I got response. So I think that may be due to 145 Alive and all the other VHF activity you have over there. It's really cool. And the second one was a Norwegian guy who had lived in Edinburgh for 60 years. And who was really, so it was really fun that a Norwegian ham was there calling on 2 meters. So we switched to Norwegian. So, and other than that, I've done quite a few activations here at home. First in heavy snow, we got like 10, 15 centimeters snow in 2 or 3 hours. So I went out to activate in that. That was lovely, but very snowy. And then the day after, it had sunk together. It was just powder snow, but it was like 10 degrees below freezing, and amazingly beautiful to sit there in the forest with proper clothes and so on. And just activated and ran POTA. So that is just lovely. And then I took another POTA. A guy came over me, just walked straight at me and just said, "Hey, what are you doing?" In the way that police officers usually do. And he was a off-duty cop on the way home from the police station. And very polite, very friendly guy, wondered what I was doing and stuff like that. But yeah, he wondered. The hardest question was, why just here, or why exactly here? Like, why in this park? Which, to be fair, is a very good question. But yeah, And then I soldered this little thing here, which you probably can't see very much, a Pixie CW transceiver kit. Like it comes in a small bag, which you probably can barely see as well. It costs $5 or so off dodgy Chinese websites, and soldered that together in 2 or 3 hours. And I haven't tried it yet, but that will be fun to try out. So it should be a few watts output power on 40 meters on one locked frequency.
Mine didn't work when I built mine, so I repurposed all the parts for other projects. So, or at least some of the parts. So I need to get another one, actually.
Yeah. So this, long story about that. But anyways, fun kit to build. If it works or not, I don't really care. But my other radios also do beep things. So
yep,
that's cool. So what about you, Bård? Anything fun?
Probably lots of things. I'll see what I can remember. I have 2 questions before we start. First of all, for Jürgen, what's the difference between a Neo 2 and a Neo? We're talking about drones now. Is there any reason I shouldn't trade in my Neo for the Neo 2?
What about if you unmute?
How much spare cash do you have? No.
I think unlimited credit on his card. No, the obstacle avoidance is way better than on the new one, and it's 3-axis gimbal, so the stabilization is also way better.
Does it float better in water?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes. Good.
What's this word? What's this word I heard you use, Bob? Trade. I've never heard that word from you before.
That means giving the Neo to my son and getting the Neo 2 for myself.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and for Fraser, are there any SOTAs on Bermuda or just the parks?
No. The highest point in the island is 80 meters, and when you're there, you wouldn't think there aren't any SOTA because it's very undulating, and we did a fair bit of walking, and you're either up or you're down, but nothing reaches the magical 150 meters height. But a lot of the POTA sites are on the coast, and they're on the extremities of the island, little national parks and old military forts or nice little scenic areas. So well worth finding out the POTAs because they take you to lots of different parts of the island that you might not normally see. But we all know that if we're outdoors doing portable radio, we go places that normal people don't.
Yeah. No, that's that. Yeah, sounds good. Actually, this sounds like a lot of these parks are just as interesting as a summit would be. So yeah, good to know. Yeah. Well, I'll add that to my list of places to try and visit. Very cool. It's very nice, Jürgen. It looks size-wise, that drone, by the way, looks just a little bit bigger. Is that correct?
It's just a little bit bigger. Yeah, maybe 1 finger or so wider, and the weight is about the same, but of course the obstacle avoidance is way better because you have 2 cameras, one at the bottom
and the other the gimbal camera.
Yeah, and the sensors here, and of course the camera itself. So this is way better. I had only 1 crash because this was when the camera was flying. The drone was flying in front of me, backwards, and then it crashed into a bush. But yeah, okay. And it was so windy. It was really, really windy. You can't see it on video, but it was really, really windy. Yeah, and the drone had to fight against the wind.
That's another thing with the Neo. Then if it's windy, you can really see that on the footage on the Neo because it's struggling to keep.
Not with that one.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, thanks. I'll warm up the credit card.
Just a question, Bob. Is that the drone you will be bringing to Bermuda?
I don't know. I will ask our resident drone flying legal expert whether or not I can before that's. I'll do that, but I'm sure he knows.
I have no idea about Bermuda, but I know it will probably be abducted by aliens or something.
I do know the answer to your question.
Yeah.
I do know the answer to your question around drone flying in Bermuda, because I looked at mine, and they're really quite strict about not flying drones in public areas. And Bermuda is almost entirely built on, so it's there's just a continuous string of houses from one end of the island to the other. So I wouldn't take a drone to Bermuda.
Good to know. So this is turning into the Norwegian Ham Radio and Travel show, actually. And drones.
Excellent. Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. I'll try and
Martin
make
likes
up with my week, since I'm wasting time with all my questions. I went to Hamfest with Morten. I think maybe he's going to mention that as well. I picked up some used stuff. Let's see if I can maybe show you.
You managed to give one of my radios a new home, Bob. I'm happy for that.
Yeah, that's true. I got that one as well. That's the tell us what that's called. It's the predecessor to the D75.
Kenwood
D72.
D7E.
D7E, yeah. Looking forward to trying to resurrect that. And I already have the THD 72, 74, and 75. So that's sort of the older brother that I was lacking. But I got the FTs. Let's say it's 7900. It's a dual band VHF UHF radio. Quite a nice little device. And I've been spending the time since I got home from that Hamfest building a programming cable for it. And I think that might turn into a video. It's a surprisingly easy project, but if you do it right, then you don't have to program it from the front panel, which I find mostly annoying, and maybe especially so with the Yaesu radios. Let's see. Other than that, on the way, I think I've been driving through the coldest climate I've been through in my life today. On the way home from that Hamfest, I was looking at the temperature gauge on the dashboard, and it was minus 27.5 centigrade.
Oh my God!
You win, because when we drove home yesterday, it was only minus 23.
Yeah, that I've done plenty of time. Almost minus 28. That's pretty hardcore, I think. I tried to convert that to the left side of the Atlantic units, and I think that's minus 17 or something. Could that be correct?
Yeah, you're getting to the point where Celsius and Fahrenheit is almost equal at that
and
point.
It's it is heavy on all kind of gear when you go out in that kind of temperature. I take it you didn't. Did you sleep in your car in that temperature?
No. Nice hotel room. My car was not too happy. It's been difficult to start lately. So I just the day before I went up there, I was thinking I should put a new battery in so that I don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
I went on my way, bought the battery, and it was bloody cold down here as well. So I think, I don't want to put that in the car. I'll buy some jumper cables instead. And I'm really happy I did, because I needed to jump my car from that new battery to get it started in the cold. So pretty happy with that. And I built. I did a build last week. I think that's something happened since the last video. I built the all-in-one cable. Because the thing that's called the all-in-one cable it's actually not a cable, that's just a PCB. So I added a cable to it. So now I built the all-in-one cable. And there's a video on how you can do that. The reason I did that is because I don't like the way that all-in-one cable PCB thing is set up, where you get the USB lead coming up along and parallel to the antenna of the HD. That can't possibly be good for RFI. So I just
it is not good. I tried building an all-star node using a Baofeng with that, and I had a lot of noise going into or a lot of noise on my all-star transmissions mostly.
Yeah. So
I thought you were supposed to have the angled USB-C connectors for that.
That would help.
That
I saw that Abe, the reason I started with this is that Abe, I can't remember his call sign now, he's on the Discord.
KC3 something.
Yeah. He sent me a WinLink message from his Baofeng, from the iPhone with this thing. And I thought that was bloody brilliant. I need to be able to do that. And so I started putting together one of my all-in-one cables this way, and I'll continue working on it. He's given me some tips on our Discord to get this working. So maybe with any luck, there's going to be a new video with me actually replying to that email from the iPhone with WinLink. I'm going long now.
Using your all in one cable. It's almost like my station controller.
That's where I got the idea for the name. Brilliant, brilliant name. So yeah, I think I'll cut it short with that because this is going long already. So Morten, how about your week?
Well, I've had a week which has been busy with both private stuff and work. I had to fly up to Bodø, north of the Arctic Circle, on Wednesday evening, and I returned on Thursday afternoon. No radio there, so basically no radio all week until I went to the Hamfest yesterday. Wasn't actually planning on buying something, and now I'm going to try my new production skills here. And why make it easy, and why not overcomplicate things with a wireless camera? So let's see if I can make this work. I also got one of these radios, the FD 9700 or 7900 actually. Managed to program mine through the front panel in the usual not logical Yaesu way.
Yaesu style, yeah.
But I've managed to program one repeater, and I'll be looking forward to your video, Bob, because I want to program more repeaters into this.
I have plenty of repeaters programmed in mine. By the way, did you get the E version or did you get the US version? The one
it's the version, and it's completely open.
Okay, because mine defaults to wide mode for everything.
Yeah, I have a Kenwood like that, and people yell at me when I use that on repeaters on 70 centimeters. Usually it sounds terrible. So yeah.
And that's actually going to have. I had a talk yesterday, spoke about the European Ham Radio Show as well. I can probably turn this camera around while talking to you guys. That was fun. I didn't think I did too well, but you, Bob, you said that I actually did a good job on that. So I'm going to trust you.
I think that was very, very well delivered, that thing. Yeah.
And I got some interest. And then today I've been playing around something I figured, or I've seen this on the internet. All ham tubers are supposed to do this. This is a Baofeng Mini and Tiny SA. And my results are, let's put it this way, they're pretty inconclusive. It's so close to either passing or failing, depending on a lot of other aspects of the measurements there. So I spoke to a guy who has more measuring equipment than Rodian Schwartz. So I'm gonna be able to test this in his lab, and we'll see if this radio. Let's see if Smoking Ape or Josh is correct on this radio. Let's put it that way. And also, we met what's his name again? This guy. I can't remember his name though. I'll find it over on Discord. Alvaro. Met him at the Hamfest. That was fun.
Yep.
Meeting a new ham that is active in our Discord. And I think we met
another nice ham as well that did the Meshtastic presentation, and I think I talked him into coming on the show.
You talked him into it, and I booked him into the show on March 29th. So we're going to have a talk on Meshtastic then.
Yeah.
That was, I think that's pretty much my ham radio week. It's been a busy week, and it's not going to get any less busy next week. So hopefully I'll get something jammed in at some point with radio. I think that's about it. We're getting some new signups for the meetup, by the way, in Germany this summer in the Black Forest. So go over to hamshow.eu if you're interested. There's a little bit of a link on the right side there where you can sign up and read about the trip. That's it for me. Fraser, we're looking forward to hearing about the solar-powered digipeater in Scotland. I mean, if a solar-powered digipeater can work in Scotland, it's bound to work over here as well, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for inviting me back on the show. It's great to be on. And I might put you on the spot, Morten, because I did send you a photograph of it. So if you can dig that out and if available, just
give me a couple of seconds and I'll try to multitask here.
just when you're ready, so I can start talking. It's interesting that you were talking about Meshtastic, because the thing that LoRa is not is it's not Meshtastic, because Meshtastic doesn't require an amateur radio license. It's encrypted data that you're sending, which we aren't allowed to do as amateurs, and it tends to run up at 800 megahertz, and it's an entirely different game, which I haven't investigated in, but it's obviously good fun as well. So what I have got is a solar-powered digipeater, which sits on a hill, which is about 3 kilometers from my house, and just a rounded heathery hill, and it's got 3 18650 batteries in it, and it's been up there for about a year, and it was running really well. I used to check it every couple of weeks just to make sure that it hadn't blown over and all this kind of stuff, and then I was quite confident, so I didn't go near it until the summer, and it was fine. And then my wife and I went on holiday in October, and there was a huge wildfire swept across the moorland. There we go, near our house, and the wildfire came within. Oh, you see that photograph there? I think you see a rock in the background. That's where the wildfire was stopped by the firefighters. It came within about 20 meters of the digipeater, so that was a lucky escape. So you can see in that photograph. Sorry.
I'm just going to find the other picture you sent me as well. I was a little bit too quick to take the first one off.
There's a picture of the board. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically a little grey box. It was made by an amateur called Dave M0EFI, who is lives down in England, and he's really keen on it. And he pretty much custom built a board which has a MPPT charger in it. It takes the 3 18650 cells, and it's got one of the Heltec boards in it. Now, you program it up in the house, you take it to where you want it, and off it goes. It's not connected to the internet, and obviously because of its location. It beacons every half hour, and it receives and retransmits any packets. And it's a cracking little thing, but it stopped working at the end of October. And that's because we'd had some days of no sunlight, cloudy days up on the hill, a bit of rain, shorter days as well, coming into winter. So I went up and retrieved it, and I took it back down. And Ricardo, who CA2RXU, who's the guy that does all the firmware for these things, he's got a GitHub page. He brought out an ultra economical mode for the digipeaters. So I loaded the new firmware on it, Ultra Eco, and basically once you've loaded that on it, you can't really do anything with it after that to interact with it, because it turns the Wi-Fi off, it turns the screen off, and it actually turns the radio off, and it only beacons. It only turns the radio on to beacon every half hour, or if it receives an incoming packet, the radio turns the board back on to retransmit it. And I've been astounded by the performance. As I was saying earlier to the guys before we started, we've had probably up on the hill, I haven't managed to get up there, but probably about 70 centimeters of snow. We've had snowfall every day since New Year, and the repeater is working absolutely perfectly. It beacons every half hour, and I've got an iGate on the side of my house, a receive-only iGate, but it generally is gated by my friend's iGate, and he lives about 50 kilometers away from here. And the reason his device gates it quicker than mine is because I have a very slow rural 2 meg broadband here, and he has 600 or something meg broadband at his house. So my iGate receives the signal first because it's closer, but his one gets it onto the internet before mine, so my packet is dropped. So it just shows you how APRS and LoRa works. And the thing is, effectively, it is the same as good old-fashioned APRS. I've got my FT3D here, which you hear it's a beacon from that. say FSK, you hear the two tones spurting away. You can run anything from 5 watts on a handheld to, you know, a megawatt on that if you've got a license for it. The LoRa runs on 200 milliwatts, and it uses an entirely different system of transmission that uses something called CSS, or chirp spread spectrum, and it's very similar to the way that bats communicate. It uses a wider bandwidth, it uses a longer transmission time, and it's so much more resilient to noise and interference that it's incredible the results that you can get with 200 milliwatts. Certainly, when you're up on a SOTA summit, you can be picked up by you know, eye gates that are 100 kilometers away, no problem. And occasionally there's people that put balloons over. I can't remember the guy's call sign, but there's a Polish chap that puts balloons over. They circle the planet 2 or 3 times. And my eye gate at home, which has just got a little half-wave dipole, was picking it up over the North Sea, almost on the coast of Norway. You know, it was closer to Norway than it was to Scotland. So it's absolutely fantastic. So you've got the eye gate to receive it. The other thing you need really, if you want to enjoy doing a bit of LoRa, is you need a tracker, which is the thing that you would carry around with you if you were out walking, or if you were out cycling or climbing a hill. And the two main sort of boards you can get these Liligo T-beams. So I've got one here. AliExpress sell them. They're about, I don't know, 15 euros. This one here's got a little bit of coax and a little stub antenna on it. That's the GPS antenna that comes with it, because it obviously needs GPS to work. This one here has got this a screen on it. That's why it's called a T-beam, basically, because the antenna comes out the end there. And then you could get 3D printed cases for them. So that's the sort of standard case you can get for one of the T-beams. This one hasn't got a screen in it at the moment, because some idiot took a scalpel across the screen by accident. So I've got a replacement screen. Or if you're using it indoors to mess about or in a vehicle, I actually just used the box that the actual board came in with a homemade antenna for this one. This is made of that memory wire that you get, and this one works inside my Land Rover. I don't even have a battery on it. I just plug a USB into it, and if you're out walking, you can have one of these on the back of your rucksack. The other main type of board that you can get is a Heltec board. So this is one of the ones that they sell on the SOTA shop, and it's based on a Heltec board. And if you do buy one of those, it comes with a little desktop charger and everything. But you can see the battery in it is a little bit smaller than the 18650 that the other ones take, but the Heltec board is smaller than the T-beam, so it's got advantages and disadvantages. And one of the other things you can do to improve performance with your tracker is you can upgrade the little GPS antenna for a bigger patch antenna. That you can get 2 of these off eBay for about €4 or €5 or something like that. So so a lot of people have invested in eye gates because you can plug it in to a USB socket, stick it somewhere, hopefully not too far away, have an antenna that's not too far away from it, because it is a weak signal on a short length of coax, and then you can have fun with a tracker and see how it works. I've taken it to the next extreme to put the eye gate up on the hill and see how it survives. And then I suppose the next level with it in terms of experimenting is people can connect the trackers to your iPhone. You can use APRS Droid if you have an iPhone, and you can actually send messages through LoRa APRS directly from your phone. If you want to do this using Android, it's a little bit more complicated and you need to get creative and do a little bit more experimentation with it. One can even connect keyboards to these things and mess about with that. So it's kind of limitless to what you can do with it. And one of the things I discovered recently by accident is there are LoRa satellites, many LoRa satellites circling the Earth. And you can actually set up what's called a mini GS, like a mini ground station. and receive satellite signals, and that uses the Heltec tracker board, which is the one that's inside this this one you get on the SOTA shop here. So I've got one of those in my woodshed, plugged into a USB-C, and I've got a little halfway dipole that I made from just some electrical wire, copper electrical wire, and it's up above the shed. It's only 20 centimeters above my woodshed. And I looked earlier in the week when I came back from holiday. I had a look, and I'd received satellite. I received hundreds over the course of a day, but I actually received one 3,000 kilometers away up in Greenland, and which was the furthest distance I've ever had. And that's a relatively new thing, but there are a couple of thousand of these ground stations around the planet, and they have got quite a good little web app and mapping and all sorts of stuff on the back of it, so you can have a look.
Yeah, I had one of those. I had one of those up for a while because, well, me and Bob, we bought those LoRa boards, 433 boards, before the legalities were in place in Norway to use APRS on LoRa. So I had to repurpose the boards. But once we were able to use that bandwidth on 70 centimeters, I took my ground station down. Just want to add a little bit to what you said about the trackers. There are actually a lot of boards and a lot of pre-made. You can use pretty much, with a couple of exceptions, the same hardware as you use for Meshtastic for this. I still haven't found the perfect tracker. I was looking for new boards the other day, and I figured I have every board I can make a tracker from that Ricardo supports in his firmware. Still haven't found the perfect one, which is lightweight, low power consumption, and has a keyboard. I do have trackers that have some of those functions, but not all.
Yes, that is the thing, isn't? Sorry.
Go ahead, Fraser.
I was just going to say that until recently, the trackers that the SOTA shop sold, which is the one here with the Heltec board in it, the battery would not last a day in that. But which is why I used the T-beam, because the 18650 lithium-ion cell would last 2 days. But now the latest firmware that Ricardo has done for the trackers, there is like an eco mode for the trackers, and that certainly made a big difference to the Heltec ones. So yeah, it is. I don't think there's an ideal board. They're not designed for people that wander about the mountains. They're development boards that are supposed to sit on someone's desk, while they're prototyping stuff. But we can pick them up for less than 20 euros and print yourself a case. Ricardo's done an outstanding job with the firmware for the iGates and for the trackers. He's got a web-based uploader now, so it's so simple to do. Recently, the RSGB in the UK launched a high-altitude balloon with a digipeater on it on a special frequency. It wasn't the usual LoRa frequency, and all over the UK, people retuned their iGates, and we're trying to hear this balloon, and there was thousands of hits, and then there's the whole once an amateur invents some hardware, then there's a whole industry of people that are really interested in making some software for it as well. So the good old APRS.FI is the sort of granddaddy of APRS software, and it's obviously got really useful functions to use for looking at your iGate or your certainly I can look at my remote digipeater as well as trackers and iGates on there, and then there's there's various other incarnations of the website now, that some just tailored for tracking LoRa, etc. But I think one of the other interesting ones that's come out is called LoRa APRS Live, and it's a really good site where you can actually really dig into. You can look at your discharge and recharge graphs for your batteries if you've got your telemetry turned on, which I kind of have been doing fanatically over the winter to make sure my my digipeater is staying alive, and it's remarkable to see it charging every day, even in quite difficult conditions with short days and low levels of sunlight, etc. So there's all sorts of stuff out there. So yeah, I mean, I would say if anyone wants to get into it, start off with a little iGate, because that's a cheap thing, and you can just connect it to your home Wi-Fi and put in a little aerial up. See how you get on, and maybe go for a tracker of some kind, and go for a drive and go for a wander, and see how good it is, and see how well it picks it up. Yeah, that's the LoRa APRS live website that's on there. So you can actually see that my digipeater has been received by the iGate in Aberdeen, which is about certainly about 45 kilometers further than the one that's attached to my house, and that's obviously the benefits of his fast internet.
And
so yeah, any comments?
I think there was a question here from William. Let's see if I can find it here. How much is the unit? I think William is talking about the solar powered digipeater that you put up.
So Dave M0 JKS has an eBay store where he was selling those. He did 2 different versions, and it comes complete with the antenna, with the box, with the circuit boards, and with the solar panel and all the brackets. All you have to do is supply your own 18650 cells and some form of mounting it. And the cost for that, I think he was selling them for about £180. It's really well made. Every time I go up to the hill to inspect mine, I do open the case. There's no condensation ever got inside the case or near the circuitry. And the good thing is, because it's 70 centimeters, it doesn't have to be that high off the ground. So you see from the photograph that Morten put up earlier, the bottom of my antenna on my one is only about 50 centimeters from the ground. So that way it's less exposed to the weather, the winds, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, I think it's a good investment. It's lasted a year for me, and it's missed a forest fire. Well, it's missed a fire. It's survived a couple of windstorms, reached like 85 miles per hour. So what's that? 120, 130 kph, and also minus. I know I'm speaking to the Norwegians here. Minus 12 Celsius is nothing to you guys, but that's the coldest. That's the coldest we've had this winter, and obviously we all know that batteries don't like cold.
That at minus 12 will still be bad for most equipment, though. So anything below freezing is generally bad. So it's really interesting to see how well it's actually fared, also under the wind, but also like in cloudy Scotland, that it's been able to operate for all that time.
Yeah,
but
and we do live.
Sorry. Yeah, the solar
I'm just
power.
going to say that where I live in Scotland, I'm the eastern side, so we do get more. We're the drier side of Scotland. We do get more sunlight and it's less rain. However, it's a lot colder on this side of the country in the winter as well.
But the solar panel you have, what's the rating of that? Like, is it very overpowered for the usage? Like, is it 25?
Yes, and I knew you were going to ask me that, and I've completely. Yeah, I think it's a 25 watt panel. And I completely forgot to look that up and write it down before I came on.
Yeah.
And but what I can see is there's even days where there's no sunlight, and because of the MPPT charging, it doesn't need all that much brightness to take a charge and restore the batteries to full charge overnight. And the power draw is minuscule because the thing is basically hibernating until it receives a radio signal.
Yeah. So because I tried buying a simple solar panel, which is like the one that will light your garden light or something, but that's maybe 100 or 200 milliwatts. And those are also really bad quality panels compared to the ones you had. Looked like a very nice and efficient panel as well. So there's big differences in which panel you can put on these things to make them work in solar conditions or in cloudy conditions, I mean.
Yes, and you could easily buy and build your own system using a Heltec board, buy a solar charger module, get a battery case and connect it all together. But what Dave did with his one was he designed a custom board and then sent it off and got some printed. So the whole thing's on one circuit board, which is quite neat.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah, that's nice. And cost wise, I don't think it's going to be. You're going to quickly approach the sum you paid for yours with making it yourself, Fraser. So I don't think it doesn't sound expensive to me. Bob,
well, compared to if you bought sorry.
No, go ahead. There's a little bit of latency here. I'm not sure if the viewers noticed, but go ahead, Fraser, and I'll forward my question to Bob afterwards.
Okay. £180. It's well, if you're a radio amateur, then most things you buy have got an extra zero added to the end of that. So it is a bargain, definitely.
Yeah, Bob, you've been running your experiment without solar power. You were talking yesterday about putting a big battery that could probably get a year's use out of it.
Funny you should say that. I'll summarize first what I've been doing for Fraser, because it's been running on 4 18650 batteries, and it's been running now for 2 months and 5 or 6 days. And I can see I do the same as you do, Fraser. I look it up at the LoRa APRS live. You get the nice curve showing the discharge rate, and of course, it for the longest time it was discharging at 0.01 volts or something like that per day, and now it's a lot steeper. So it's at the really low end of these batteries. So I'm going to go up and collect it tomorrow and give these batteries a small charge. But that's fairly good cells. I tested them. They actually do deliver 3,500 milliamp hours each. These 18650 cells, so good quality cells. But that lasted in Norway cold weather for more than 2 months. So I'm pretty happy with that. But my next project, battery wise, I will use some of these. Let's see if we can. Yeah, there's no green screen.
I'm gonna enlarge you again.
Yeah, these are. I got tipped off from Jürgen. He's responsible for a lot of the money I spend actually lately. So yeah, these are 20 amp hours, and this is actually true. I tested them as well. The last batch I got from this particular supplier from AliExpress, and I figured if I put not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of these in one of these digipeaters, that should last me for about a year, I think. So that's my next build. I'm gonna put all these 4 into a soil pipe and put the small module on top and the antenna on top of that. I'm gonna go up on a nearby mountain, the highest mountain in this county, which is about 600, just shy of 650 meters above sea level. I'm going to find the tallest tree up there, and I'm going to tie it to that tree, and I'm going to see if it's going to work for a full year. That's the plan.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's really good, because I think if you've got so much battery capacity, that's the other way of doing it, isn't it? That you won't need the solar, because the battery will run it for so long, and if you can work out when the battery is going to go, and you just nip up the hill and swap them out. So you're going to have to buy another 4 as a swap out set. Oh, he's got them.
You should say that. I can't find them, but yeah, I have the other. I have the other set as well. So, but and also that summit where that thing is going, it's a SOTA summit, and it's a 5-pointer with a winter bonus. So I'm going to be up there every winter anyway. So yeah, it's easy.
But can you? And that brings up a fun point. Can you actually do QSOs over LoRa APRS? Like if you do it direct. So has anybody done a SOTA activation over LoRa? 5 or 4 QSOs direct from person
I
to
want
person.
to do it. I really want to do it, but as far as I know, I haven't heard of anyone doing it. But I really want to be the first one to do that.
I
Yeah.
can help you with one of those QSOs, Bob. If I use my club call sign, I can help you with 2.
Yeah, and around about here, we have a lot of people interested in LoRa APRS as well. So I think should be easy enough to get some people interested in that.
Then you gotta make sure though that
Yeah.
it's a direct connection
I
and
think
not
it's-
digipeated.
Yeah.
Fraser?
I think yes, the easiest way to do that. I mean, you can do it with 2 meters APRS. You just it's 144.800 we use, isn't it? So if you went on 144.850, you're guaranteed you're not going to pick up any digipeaters. So if someone else has got the radio tuned to that and you're sending APRS messages, it's direct and it won't be digipeated. To do it with LoRa, you're going to have to program your boards and flash your firmware with a different frequency on it, go up and do your expedition, and then come back down again and change the frequency back. I think is probably the safest way of doing it.
Yeah. The Health Tech, will they do 2 meters, or I thought they were 70 only?
No.
No.
This is 70 only, but you actually don't have to reprogram the frequency. You can just reprogram the path in there. So if you put RF only in the path, it's not going to get digipeated your call. And you just have to make sure to inspect the packet you get back from your QSO partner to see that has not been digipeated as well. And so only log it if it's a direct return as well. That should be doable as well. At least that's my hope. So, I'm adding this to a very, very long list of things I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a cool one. And one thing that's worth noting about solar panels, you mentioned cold.
That's
there.
it. They're great fun, and once
Go ahead, Fraser.
Yes, go ahead, Fraser.
Sorry, I missed the question there. My cat interrupted me.
That happens, yeah.
Yeah, no, just go. What I was going to say is that you mentioned cold and solar panels, and one thing a lot of people don't think about is that solar panels generally are more efficient the colder they are, so that outweighs parts of the batteries being worse in cold. So, like solar panels are really happy at below zero, but the batteries are not.
They're normally not very happy when they have 10 centimeters of snow on them.
No, that's a different thing.
Well, one thing I did is, because my one is only a 30-minute walk away, what I do is when I went up probably November time, I changed the angle with the solar panel to almost vertical for 2 reasons. Number one, so it wouldn't collect any snow, and number 2 is that is pretty much the level of sunlight at that time of year for us. It's just above the horizon. There is a range of hills about 15k south of me, and the sun doesn't get very high above those hills. So it was twofold. So I definitely know it won't have snow on it unless it's been buried by snow. But again, I don't think we had that much snow up there. I do want to get up there next week, so that's my amateur radio plan for Tuesday, to hike up there and see how it's looking. I know it's working because of the telemetry, but I'd like to see what kind of shape it's in.
With these things, can you add more telemetry? So could you, for example, add a thermometer and a humidity sensor and stuff like that? Would that be easy?
Yeah.
Funny
Yes,
you say that.
You can do
Let
that.
me.
So,
Yeah, you can do that. There's already code in the Gusman firmware that can do that. There's some I2C modules that can do humidity, temperature, barometric pressure, things like that. But that's going to, of course, use more energy if you have these sensors on it. Well,
yeah. What I was thinking for my use would be to, at the cabin, hook it up to the solar panel and monitor the voltage of the solar panel and also the batteries of the solar system, so that I know that, which would then be separate from the input voltage to the system. So but yeah, different question, of course, but it could be fun to try.
Yeah,
Definitely. Not
Yeah,
sure
well, that's
about
right.
the
And if you, when you
voltage
buy these,
measuring.
when you buy these
Now go ahead, Fraser.
well, when you can measure the voltage. When you buy the board, you get a very simple sheet when you buy the board that explains what the pins do, and you can connect all sorts of stuff into there and trigger various things, as Bob said, and it's already in the firmware. You just have to tick a box in the configuration program when you're doing it, and you can connect different things to different pins. So yeah, it's great for experimenting. As you say, it uses more power. If you've got a stable power source, then the world is your oyster. You can have a weather station running from it as well.
Yeah, like at least at the cabin we have 350 watt panel, so that shouldn't be a problem to power LoRa at least. But it will also then deliver 40 volts maximum. So you can't just hook it directly into the board either. But so that there will be some experimentation from my end when the cabin defreezes after winter, just to see how that works. But
That's good.
I was positively surprised in Eastern Norway. LoRa APRS coverage is everywhere, even at the cabin in the middle of nowhere. There's coverage. Over here in the west, there's nothing, so or almost nothing. So that's nice.
I think there are basically two clubs that have made the most coverage, Bob. Your club and my club, and then there's a little bit further north.
Telemarksgruppa, which is the next big club down from us at this side of the Oslofjord as well, has done some pretty amazing cool stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you want to start out with LoRa APRS, I know this guy down here has some videos on it. Fraser has a couple of videos on it, and I have a couple of videos on it. So it's a great place to start. It's easy to get started. Start out with my recommendation. Start out with your own iGate digipeater as well, if you don't have any infrastructure nearby, because that will make it so much more interesting for you. So that's my recommendation. Go ahead, get started. I think about 50 euros will get you started with a couple of cheap boards, one for a tracker and one for a digipeater.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And there's more and more infrastructure coming around these now. As I said, there's different hardware, different cases, lots of 3D prints, lots of software appearing. So it's just great fun to experiment, and there's lots of information on the internet about it, because there's a lot of people use these for Meshtastic that, as I think it was Bob said, they basically work the same way. So you can you can plug the same peripherals into them. So there's lots of information out there that's non-amateur radio that we can use. So it's just worth having a look and see what you can find. I don't know, the AliExpress links, if you do go to AliExpress and just search LoRa, the boards will come up. So I don't think there's any point in us sharing links, because they're dead easy to find. Just be careful that you don't accidentally buy an 800 meg or a 500 meg one. You're looking for the 433 megahertz one. It's quite easy to tick the wrong box on AliExpress. I'm sure we've all done that. Probably you, Martin. You're on there every day.
Yeah, I am probably on there every day. There's no secret that I am sponsored by AliExpress, so I am on there all at least I check my stats every day on AliExpress. A lot of boards. Check your sellers if it's a trusted seller, as always with AliExpress, so you don't get totally different stuff than what you have ordered. I can tell you that a glue line, so-called pet-friendly mousetrap, will not make you happy when you want a LoRa APRS board. 433 megahertz smart. Both HealthTech and Liligo has official stores on AliExpress. That's probably the safest place to buy, or directly from Liligo or HealthTech.
Sure.
I think my favorite board nowadays, as a general purpose board, is probably the Liligo wireless tracker. It has a good price performance meetup point there. Besides that, if you want a keyboard, the Liligo T-Deck, it's a great device. It is not small and compact. So
And the very, very not all of them are of great quality. Let's just say
it looks like a higher quality device on the pictures than it actually feels like when you get one.
yes.
Looks like a BlackBerry, but it's not.
No, the Liligo T Echo, which has an e-paper screen, is great, but don't get that as your first board because it's not a pleasure to flash it. I do have a guide on that, but even with the guide, I had a guy at the Hamfest yesterday asking me, how do I do this? I've looked at your guide, followed it step by step, but I still can't make it work. So I'm not sure if that's my guide or just that it's not easy to flash.
Yeah, I think Ricardo's taken all the thought out of it for for using the standard sort of Heltex and the Lego boards.
Yeah,
As you can use VS Code and build the firmware yourself, take it off the GitHub, build it yourself, build the configuration on VS Code, etc., etc. That's how we used to do it, and it's still good fun because it gets the brain working and gets you to do it, gets you thinking a little bit differently if you haven't done that kind of thing for a while. But he's got a web flasher for the firmware, and he's got a web-based configuration program as well. So it's just that's definitely the recommendation. As Morten said, get yourself an iGate, flash the firmware on it, and see who picks it up.
Got a couple of more questions. Lee, yes, you're allowed to send text messages through APRS. Yeah. And that actually brings me on to one last thing. Check the legalities because the bandwidth is so high that it might not be legal where you are. So do check that out as well and see if it's actually legal to use LoRa APRS where you are. Otherwise, you'll have a couple of boards that you can use for a tiny GS satellite station while waiting for it to become legal.
Is it 12 kilohertz bandwidth, I think, or 14?
It is
No.
Minimum of 125 kilohertz bandwidth.
Yes. Sorry. Yes, I missed a zero off. Sorry.
Yeah.
So in Norway, that got legal a little bit more than a year ago, Bob, for experimental purposes, I think.
Year and a half, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, but
probably a year and a half.
Yeah.
And since then, it's pretty much exploded, at least in Eastern Norway.
Good.
Yeah, it's fun to see all the new things that's popped up. I did a test run. I took my HT and one of these trackers, can't remember which one, and drove for an hour. And the coverage for tracking is as good on LoRa APRS as it is on 2 meter APRS around where I live. So it's very cool.
Yeah.
Good.
I think that's it. We'll be back next week with a very special stream. I am going to show you how to set up a DMR hotspot live on stream. There are so many things that can go wrong during that stream, so I'd really recommend you to watch us then. And with a little bit of luck, we'll make it work.
Yeah, and you have 4 people giving you bad advice, so that will be fun.
Not to forget a whole lot of people in the chat also giving bad advice.
Exactly.
I will only be taking advice, but I've done my shopping, so I'm hoping one of these I can follow along with one of these.
You probably can.
Looking forward to it.
And just use the simplex board. It's a lot less hassle to set it up than the duplex board.
I'll do step by step exactly what you do, and hopefully I get something working. Because whenever I've tried, it just pisses me off. It's convoluted and strange.
It's not Apple. That's your problem, Bob.
Yes, it's absolutely not Apple.
I managed to do that once I first got licensed, but I also managed to program an Anytone radio before I got licensed. So I'm not sure my patience is as good anymore. So thank you, Fraser, for being on. Always a pleasure to have you on, and we'll be back next week. See you then. See you down the bands. And Espen already started. I'm doing it wrong, so thank you. I had a guy telling me that I was doing it wrong yesterday as well when I give my talk. So it's always a pleasure. 7-3 all. Have a nice day.
7-3.
Bye.
Same for you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.